Now that I finally beat the game, I am having a huge giveaway to celebrate the stellar release of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I'm giving away a collector's edition of the game, as well as a special edition Tears of the Kingdom Switch OLED. Details coming soon, but to get a head start, be sure to like, share, and most importantly subscribe to HMK. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch. Alright, let's get into it. What is good, Zelda fans? It is your boy HMK once again, and at this point of the time, from my channel, I finally beat The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and it's been a long time coming, and I'm good with that, but I just wanted to give you guys a glimpse into my journey, because I've had a lot of people, ever since I put out my finale reaction, I've had a lot of people come out on Twitch, on Twitter, on YouTube, asking me, hey, where can I find your full playthrough? Well, here's the thing about that, that's the thing, you don't. Unfortunately, well, not really unfortunately, because I don't really feel bad about it, because I played the game to my own pace on my own time, and there was a lot of contributing factors which didn't allow me to have my playthrough available anywhere to view, right? And then I would have to get all that set up, and there's gonna be a lot of data and all that stuff, because by the time I reached the finale, I had clocked in 135 hours, right? And I still have a ton of stuff left to do. And Tears of the Kingdom, honestly, you guys, it's my game of the year, and for me it makes Breath of the Wild look like an afterthought, which is something that all sequels should aim to do. And a lot of these these days sequels tend to complement the original rather than outshine, and then Tears of the Kingdom definitely outshine. So I'm gonna tell you guys my journey on Tears of the Kingdom from the beginning all the way towards the end up until the finale, to give you guys a picture of what I went through, and I hope you guys will be able to enjoy this game if you haven't already. Now note, there will be spoilers in this description, so be aware of that, and don't worry, I do have footage from certain parts which you'll be seeing as I explain. So for those, as a little bit of a primer, for those who didn't know, when the game came out, a few days after the game came out, I was set to go to Japan. So I was in Japan for about 2 weeks. I was planning the trip with a couple of friends and whatnot, and the trip was locked in before the release date for Tears of the Kingdom got revealed. So it's not like, oh, Tears of the Kingdom's coming out, I have to back out from the trip. I couldn't really do that, right? But the trip was amazing, and I got to experience a lot of cool Tears of the Kingdom stuff. I got this shirt from Nintendo, and check this out if you haven't noticed it already. Wait for it. So I have another video on that lined up, and yeah, that's the Master Sword, the Decade Master Sword from Ichiban Kuji over in Japan. Thank you so much, Audrey, for that amazing gift. So when I booted up Tears of the Kingdom at first, when I was over here, I was floored and flabbergasted from what I thought was, the timeline confirmation. And at the time, I already adjusted the video I put out already, because I hadn't gotten far in the game, so I didn't know that oh, that's different. The Imprisoned War. Trust me, I have a video. I'm writing it as we... Well, not right now. But I'm writing it. I'm getting it done. And hopefully it'll be out tomorrow on my take of the Tears of the Kingdom and an extension, the Breath of the Wild timeline. Because after playing Tears of the Kingdom, whew, I've got a lot to say about that. But just to say, yeah, that was my bad. I thought from the Imprisoned War, I'm like, come on, A Link to the Past. I'm like, no, that's different. So after that, it really dawned upon me that Tears of the Kingdom is going to be a way more cohesive game in terms of the story and its presentation, which blows Breath of the Wild out of the water, because the way Breath of the Wild was, portrayed is that it was this mystery of Hyrule and trying to find out what happened 100 years ago and trying to recover your memories as Link is suffering amnesia. But in Tears of the Kingdom, you're trying to figure out, the mystery on why Ganondorf is awake, where did Zelda go, but also dealing with a very real-time story while you're going and seeking out answers to the events that happened before your time, and in real time when it comes to everything that's plaguing Hyrule, especially the gloom, and trying to figure out what is the next step to take down the Demon King. And I gotta say this right now, Matt Mercer knocked it out of the park as Ganondorf, and I love this portrayal, and the voice acting was a lot stronger than that. of Breath of the Wild, because I felt like they finally found, the right direction on how to portray their voices, especially taking cues from what was going down with Age of Calamity. But I digress. So after I woke up in the Sky Isles and finally made it back down to Hyrule, which the Sky Isles was amazing. It really showed the power and creativity of Ultra Hand, Fuse, Ascend, all of that good jazz, and finally made it down to the surface of Hyrule. The game itself is incredibly overwhelming in terms of what it presents to you, in terms of the content. Like I said before, I did not reach the finale until 135 hours in, because there's a lot to do. You're presented with the main quest in which you have to go and find out the regional phenomena in terms of the Gerudo region, the Elden region, Lenara region, and the Hebra region, the Tabantha, Hebra, Rito, whatever. And all of those dungeons were pretty slick, and in terms of being constructed as more traditional dungeons, I like the direction Nintendo was going with, all except for the Elden dungeon, the Fire Temple. I cheesed it. I mad cheesed. I was not dealing with the minecart stuff. It was like, I'm good, right? But in terms of the order I went to the Rito town first, because I learned not truly the hard way from Breath of the Wild, where Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom kind of pulls your arm in order to go to a very specific place first, and it's very blatant that the Rito area, both in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, is meant to be done first, right? You go to the Rito area, you meet Hetsu, you start off the Tears of the Dragons main quest and all that stuff. So I mean, that's very heavily recommended. And once you get Tulin, that's very good for traversal, just like how Revali was very good for traversal in Breath of the Wild. And after I did the Wind Temple, which was amazing. The boss, the music in Tears of the Kingdom, oh man, they really woke up, literally, and I was floored by all the amazing renditions. And that fighting Colgera, because I honestly thought it was a flying Goma, but it's Colgera, like Mulgera, Colgera. Aha! I have another video lined up for that, for all of the hints and stuff and all the connections. But after I did the Rito village, I literally went and did Gerudo Town, where I did the Lightning Temple. And then after the Lightning Temple, I went to the Water Temple over in Lonaru. And after the Water Temple, I did the Fire Temple in Elden. I always leave Goron City for last, because after Breath of the Wild, I'm like, nah, I'm leaving that for last. But something that was really interesting to me going through my playthrough of Tears of the Kingdom is that there are times where I've literally went into the underground, the depths, and there are times where I spent a whole day there, like a whole gaming day down there, and it was just like, oh, this is expansive. A lot of people are like, oh, if they're gonna put underground, it's probably gonna be small, it's probably gonna be in segments, it's probably gonna be fragmented. And it's like, no, it's double the map down there, and we got the surface, we got the depths, we got the sky. The game is insane in terms of how big it is, and it's all seamless, unless you go into shrines or warp. It's all seamless. I'm like, this is insane. How does Nintendo do it? Even when you ascend at certain parts from the depths back into the surface, that's truly a marvel. But here's the thing though, in my playthrough, right, after I did the Rito dungeon, after I did the Wind Temple, right, I was like, I really need the swag on me. I really need the champion's leather. So I'm like, how do I get it? Where do I get it? It's not really I don't understand how to get it, right? But then I'm like, you know what? Whatever. Let me go to Hateno Village. I went to Hateno Village, and I went to see hey, is my house still my house? I went there, and it's Zelda's house now, or our house. Tenemos, right? And then that's when I figured out about the champion's letters, when you go into Zelda's secret well, and then you find the hairband for Link. It's like, oh yeah, they definitely living together. Yep. Ooh, yeah. And oh yeah, the time skip. Thinking about that time skip is just slow. Leave in the comment section below, how big do you think the time skip is? I'm personally in the boat of 2 to 3 years, maybe 4. There's a lot of indicators Link and Zelda able to drink. They're able to get noble pursuits. Madison is how old is Madison? Rodson Hudson's daughter. So there's a lot to go for. Tulin, him growing up, it's just what's the time skip? Nintendo, I gots to know, right? So that told me to get the Champions letters in Hyrule Castle. I'm like, Hyrule Castle? And like, obviously, I don't know where the final boss is. I don't know where Ganondorf is chilling. I don't know what's going on. Like, is he down there? I mean, of course, he fell. It's like, oh, you would think he's down there. It's like, I don't know. He could have fallen there and then warped back to the temple, warped back to the castle. Why did he rise the castle? I mean, we know now. Like, if you beat the game. But I went to Hyrule Castle, got the Champions list. I'm like, okay, I'm chill because I was able to go straight directly for the Sanctum. I'm like, nah, I'm not navigating this place. This place looks dangerous. I'm way under level. I only had Tulin. I have one Sage on me. So I got the Champions leathers and I'm like, okay, time to upgrade this thing. Go to a Great Fairy and I need the Light Dragon scale. And then that really dawned upon me. It's like, okay, the Light Dragon it's like a fourth dragon, you know, because we saw the Light Dragon in the beginning of Tears of the Kingdom. When it came to promotional material, I'm like, that kind of looks like nature, but not really. So I go to the Light Dragon. I tried to go to the Light Dragon. I'm like, where is this dragon? It's time. I need the scales. Bring it here, right? So I finally figured out where the Light Dragon is, and if you guys don't know, it revolves all around Hyrule, which is like, it's on a rail. It's not a time of day thing. Anyways, I finally found it, and I'm flying towards it, gliding towards it, and I'm seeing this like energy coming out of the forehead, and I'm like, okay, what's that? And I'm like, is that the... It was the Master Sword. Now note, I was still in Japan when I saw this, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna pull this out until I go home because I want to record this. I want to record the cutscene. I want to record everything. And what a cutscene! And it's funny because I was talking to a couple of friends of mine. The threshold or the requirement, the shrine equivalent requirement, in order to get the Master Sword in Tears of the Kingdom is much lower than that of Breath of the Wild because Breath of the Wild, you need at least 13 hearts, right? And that's a lot. But in Tears of the Kingdom, you just need 2 whole stamina wheels, right? And of course, the first 4 shrines forces you to get a heart because of opening the door at the beginning of the game. But I mean, you only need 20 shrines in order to pull out the Master Sword. And there's a lot more shrines in Tears of the Kingdom than there is Breath of the Wild. So I was already ready. So when I pulled out the Master Sword, I'm like, yo, this is awesome. That cutscene that played. And it's funny because in my finale, I seen people that were wondering why my Master Sword had Zonai runes on the blade. And I'm like, oh, y'all beat the game and didn't even try this? So the first thing I did when I got the Master Sword, let's fuse, right? Because if you don't know, here's your spoiler. If you don't know, when you fuse something with the Master Sword, it takes on the shape of what you fuse with it, but it channels the shape. It becomes ethereal, right? And after it fuses, it becomes a shape, but it lights up like in this like bluish green color. But then it reverts back to the Master Sword shape, and then it's signified with runes saying like it's supposed to tell us like, hey, something's fused to this, right? And it retains the shape, and that you're able to put the Master Sword back in its sheath. And I'm like, that's really cool. And I made a theory about that years ago, and I'm like, ah, yeah. And people on my comments were like, why does your sword have those things? And I'm like, oh, y'all didn't try. So I had the Master Sword. I went and did the other regions. I went and did, like I said before, Gerudo, then Lanayru, then Eldin. And then I was ready to like face Ganondorf. But then here's the thing, right? I say that I did those things in that order, but me being a curious cat, I got spoilers. I got Minoru early. Minoru was my second sage. So this is what I'm talking about. Tears of the Kingdom had me like by the balls in terms of side quests and shrines, right? So I had enough hearts, which I'm pretty sure was like 10 hearts in order to open Minoru's door. I had 10 hearts, and I saw the stormy area that was over that of the Faron region, and the storm does not like block you from landing on those sky islands. So I just went for it, and I just navigated like, okay, this way, I got this, and I'm like, ah! And I went and I found the shrine there, and then the door was there, and then I did the thing where I brought the mask back to Minoru's resting place within that of the construct factory, and then I did the thing where I built her a body, and then I went to the Spirit Temple, and I did that. Now, to be fair, since it was the second Um, the second temple, I did technically the second stage. I did get my ass kicked a couple of times by the boss there, and I'm like, okay, nah, I got this. Learn. And then I beat it, and I'm like, okay, what? Like, I mean, I knew who Minoru was because I unlocked the cutscene from the tears. So I'm like, oh snap, oh snap, oh snap. All right, that's cool, right? So I had Minoru as my second stage, and then it's funny. So I had the Master Sword, and I had Minoru already before I did my the Gerudo area, the Lunar area, and the Elding area. So when I finally went to the Lost Woods and I finally got all the sages, it was like quest started, quest complete, quest started, quest complete. When I'm like, oh, find the Master Sword, find the Hero Sword, find the Spirit Temple, the 5th sage. I was like, complete, 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 complete. I'm like, that's Tears of the Kingdom. And I love that. And I had this really cool conversation with my friend that was telling me that, oh, like, you know, Henry, he was saying, so I got the Master Sword early, but there are the quests, like, because like in the game, the quest line to get the Master Sword is supposed to be very late, right? You're not supposed to get the Master Sword until you do all the Dragon Tears, all the regional phenomena, the 5th sage, all that stuff, and the Korok Forest. That's how you're supposed to find, that's how you're supposed to find the Master Sword, right? Me, I just want, like, I need some light dragon skins, right? But what's cool is that you can do any of those main quests out of order. You can do the regional phenomena that leads you to the 5th stage and do that. You can do the Korok Forest, go there and then figure out about the Hero Sword from that. Or you can do all of the Dragon Tears to find out what happened to Zelda and where the Master Sword is. And all of those 3 main quests, no matter which line you go through, you find out where the Master Sword is, and that's the beauty of the sprawling, open-ended adventure that is Tears of the Kingdom sequel to The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, right? And it's pretty wild. So after I did all that, I still went around doing shrines, like doing the battery stuff in order to go into the depths and seek out large crystallized charges. I dealt with the Yiga. I did a bunch of side quests within regions, but there's a bunch of side quests I haven't done, specifically in Eldin and in Gerudo, which I gotta go back and do that. And I beat the game, but right now I'm hunting down shrines and I'm trying to complete the depths. And I was looking for armor up into the sky, and I finally found the Zonite armor, which is spectacular, right? And I'm just doing all this. I did all the Great Fairies before that. I was just like, there's so much to do in Tears of the Kingdom. I found all of the Bargainer Brethren statues. I went and explored the depths of Hyrule Castle and Hyrule Castle itself. I found the Hylian shield. It's just ooh. And then when you get to Hyrule Castle, in terms of a quest, because it's still considered a dungeon, after you do the regional phenomena, that segment was super cool and super unsettling. I'm like, oh my god, the story, oof. And then the ending segment. I'm gonna leave the ending segment like for another video because I have a lot to say about that, right? But this is like my journey through Tears of the Kingdom and all of the building mechanics I've done. I've created a motorcycle. I've created torture chambers for enemies. No, I wasn't as mean to Korok as I've seen other people were, but I still, you know, hey, you got to get to your friend. All right, hit the rocket. Let's go, right? And seeing all the creativity of people doing stuff and all the creative stuff that I'm trying to do in terms of, like, you know, shield surfing, shield flying, and doing all these weird mechanical things. I made the W Mobile, and I got all this stuff to show you, and I cannot wait to continue playing this game, put more hours into it. And Nintendo, I need to see what you got in store for DLC, because I'm gonna need that. I'm not ready to say goodbye to this adventure, even though I'm still I'm still got tons of quests and a tons of stuff to do. But Tears of the Kingdom, truly game of the year. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of contenders. Like this year is gonna be a bloodbath. Resident Evil 2, Final Fantasy 16, Spider-Man 2, Octopath Traveler 2, a lot of sequels, right? Did I say Resident Evil 2? I meant Resident Evil 4, because Resident Evil 2 like won Game of the Year back when it was released. Leon, right? But it's gonna be a bloodbath, and I still feel that Tears of the Kingdom is going to take Game of the Year because of its sheer size, content, beauty, majesty, creativity, and sheer ambition. Music, story, design, all that stuff. Ooh, it's gonna be tough to beat. And I cannot wait to see the music being played at the Game Awards. So, until the next video, I've got tons of lore, tons of theories lined up for you guys. I hope you're ready. So until then, this has been your boy HMK, and I'll check you guys later.